Mike, forgive me. It feels like we always lead off with this, but we did see X dressed out. We saw him warm up Tuesday. Just do you have any sense for where he is and whether at this point in the season you'll be able to bring him up to speed enough to play meaningful minutes?
Don't know much yet. Can't give you any info on that yet. Today we got to go through practice and see where he is. And um, but I listen. I'm counting on the guys that's been playing, and we just got to see where he is right now because he hadn't really practiced a lot. So we just got to see where it takes us today.
Jack.
Hey Mike, just with this Sunday being senior night for a handful of guys, just what have some of those leaders meant for you just in your first 2 years with the program?
Well, it's been a lot. I mean, when you look at X, you look at Race and Trace and Miller, they've all have made big contributions to our ball club, man. And I mean, it's a lot of games they played over their 4 years in college. A lot of studying, off the floor. I mean, it's a lot that's entailed in when you go to school and play sports, man. And they put in a lot of work, man. So I couldn't be more proud of a group of guys, man. And they're going to be well missed, when they leave here.
Alex.
Mike, thanks for the time. We appreciate it. You mentioned the other night after the game that you wouldn't just flush the tape, obviously, from Iowa, but I'm curious when you sat down with the team and kind of went over things, I guess, what was the response and how have you seen them bounce back in practice yesterday from that performance?
Thought we had a great practice. Watching the film was embarrassing. I mean, it's probably the worst display of basketball since I've been here as a coach. It was awful. We didn't do anything that we set out to do going into that ball game. And, I didn't see that coming and it happened. And, there's nothing you can do about it now. You just got to build on, try not to let it happen again. I thought practice was pretty sharp yesterday and was a tough practice. But everybody, put forth effort and they got through it. So, and the day won't be any different. I mean, we gotta work our way back to where I think we need to be.
Tyler.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're doing well. I know you had talked about wanting Miller Kopp to kind of step up in his leadership throughout this season. I guess, how have you seen him respond to that? Do you feel like he kind of has grown as a leader in the way you want him to?
I think Miller's had an excellent season, and he has grown in that area. He's been a little more boisterous, and his play has put him in that category in terms of how he's led. So I have no complaints with Miller. He's tried to do everything that's asked of him on and off the floor, and on both sides of the ball, he's been pretty good for us this season.
Mike Schumann.
Yeah, hey coach. I know after that 3-game losing streak, you said that you kind of got the team's attention and got them playing harder by practicing harder and just pushing up the pace in practice. How do you balance that with it being March and having concerns about guys wearing down?
It's tough. It's real tough because again, I think back in the day, you didn't have that tournament, so you just basically got set to go right into the NCAA tournament play. And, the Big Ten tournament is grueling, I mean, especially, I just think back to last year when you play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that's tough, man. And you're a shot away from playing Sunday. It's my thing is only the strong survive, man. I mean, the tournament is what it is. And it's hard to balance because, again, you know, we need to practice based on how we played the other day. I mean, you play a great game in Purdue, and hold on, guys, I'll call you back. Turn this down, and then you come back and you play a game like that where you don't even look like you've been together as a ball club. So, practice is, for me, is the only way, I think we can get ourselves back together, and it is tough to balance it, because we are getting ready to come into the Big Ten tournament, and you don't want anybody getting hurt. You want fresh legs. I get all of that, but got to work still, I think.
Alex.
When you look at this season, obviously you've had some games where you've played defense very well, and then obviously some maybe less than stellar performances. Can you identify maybe one or two things defensively that when you watch film that you guys are doing well when you have a performance like you did against Purdue?
Again, our defense has been solid this year. I mean, even when we've lost games, we've had spurts in the games where we've been pretty good defensively. So I'll never diminish that. Iowa, we had nothing going. And statistically in the Big Ten, we've been a pretty good defensive team. So I'm not going to sit here and complain, but I can't explain the Iowa game and why we played so badly and so poorly. But you give up damn near 90 points, you're not going to beat anybody in the Big Ten. I don't care who it is.
Tyler.
Coach, you guys have been through a lot this season, just in terms of injuries, ups, downs. Is there anything, like any strategies you have as a coach that basically can just manage guys, like the emotional levels of the guys, especially now you have a big one against Purdue and then come out against Iowa? Like, is there anything you can do strategically you have as a coach, basically, to try to just keep guys as level and just stay, locked in emotionally, just given everything they've been through this season?
Well, for the most part, since I've been here, even when we won big games, we've come back and we've competed and been in games. Iowa is probably the first game that, since I've been here as a coach, that we just wasn't there, and that was kind of disappointing to me because I hadn't seen that before, and hopefully we won't see that again. But it's these young guys. It's hard to control. That was a big game in Purdue, and I know emotionally they were sky high, but I don't look at it in that light as a coach. I mean, it's just a game, and we was fortunate enough to go in there and play well and win the game. But you got to get mentally and physically ready for the next game, and we weren't there.
Mike, and then Zach will finish up.
Coach, you got several guys, going through senior night stuff on Sunday. What does that add to them in terms of the game prep or distractions? They got family coming in. They got to think about speeches and all that stuff. What are the challenges, and maybe what do you remember about doing it yourself?
Well, only thing I can remember myself, I wasn't worrying about a speech. I was worrying about winning the Big Ten title that night, my last game. So had nothing to do with a speech. I was a desperate player, coming back from back surgery, just happy to be back on the floor. And I knew that one game would tell it all in terms of who would walk out of this gym here at Assembly Hall with the Big Ten title. That's the only thing I was worried about. And the same thing is at stake, for these guys. Yeah, it's senior night, but this is a huge game for our ball club. If we win, it puts us in a great position going into the tournament. So, I mean, that's the only thing that they should be worrying about. I get it. They put 4 years in. They got a lot of family members here, but their thought process should be just a game, I think. Everything else will take care of itself.
Last question, Zach.
Mike, asking a little bit about senior night too. You've talked a lot about the relationship you and Trace have had, and you know, this probably kind of one of those moments that's sort of a signpost in that relationship. What I'm just curious is there kind of a moment or a memory from your time together that sticks out to you most about Trace, about a conversation you've had, or you know, kind of a moment you've shared, or something you've seen him do on the floor that really stuck with you?
The only thing that sticks out to me, man, is him telling me that day after we watched film that he was coming back. And, you know, that kind of set the stage for where we are today because he could have left if he wanted to and gone anywhere in the country. And the fact that he made the commitment to me and I've made a commitment to coaching. And it hadn't always been pretty, you know. I mean, it's but it's coaching, you know. I think as a captain of a ball club, because I've been in that position before. Um, there's a lot that comes with being a captain, and you know, I probably have pushed him harder than any player on this team. And I know there's been days that he's walked out of here thinking that, hey, is this guy really in my corner? Based on how he's pushing me. But at the end of the day, he's gotten better as a player. We have benefited from it, you know, with our ball club and in terms of how we played as a team. And he's been the driving force behind it. So the fact that he made the commitment to come back and allow me to coach him, that means more to me than anything.